All right, we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a lot to talk about in our live stream. We're going to talk about where the metaverse is actually headed next and how this could blow up a lot sooner than many people think. Okay, there's a lot of people with metaverse firmly in their crosshairs who are making big bets on this space. We're starting to see the competition really heat up to become leader in this space and actually establish the metaverse, colonize it. And there's a ton of upside opportunity for this type of thing. And that's what we're talking about in this video and where I think this is headed next. There's lots of questions like, hey, what's the metaverse actually going to look like? Are people going to sit around with VR goggles on their heads all day? Like, what are we actually going to do? Is this all hype? Is it pure speculation? Well, we're going to dive into that and actually look at some plays that are coming up from a main competitor in the space that are just coming onto the scene. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at a lot of the news updates that have happened in the space since yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just turn on notifications, subscribe. You're going to find out about those whenever we go live. We're going to answer some of your questions and a lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory. And on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step, start to finish, but head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Automatic Beats, Code Chap, Robert, Shay, Scott, Robbie. Let's see here. Sketty, I hope I'm saying that right. Norris, Macro, Anarchy, Barbara, Charles, Piccadilly's Diamonds. Shoria, welcome. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's talk about the metaverse. Topic that seems like, has kind of died down a little bit on the trending topics, but I think we're going to start seeing some of that pick up pretty soon in the grand scheme of things because we're seeing lots of new competition in this space to try to bring the metaverse to fruition. Ever since the big Web3 explosion happened over the past several years, we've seen a ton of smaller trends really start to emerge within that umbrella: cryptocurrencies, NFTs, gaming, metaverse. And the metaverse has a ton of huge promise, of course, with Facebook changing their entire parent company to Meta to focus on the metaverse. And we're seeing lots of other players try to get a slice of that pie because everybody wants to basically become a leader in the metaverse space. Whether it's people trying to get on metaverse projects early, just like people like you or me, or developers trying to build metaverse applications, or, big players who want to establish exactly what the metaverse is and set the stage for that. Because that's one of the biggest questions people have is, hey, what's the metaverse actually going to look like? What are you going to do? Are we really going to sit around with VR goggles all day? Like, is this all just BS? Well, you have people who are jumping into the space to try to set the tone for that and tell you what the metaverse is going to be, improve it. And I want to talk about that right now because I think this is a big thing that you got to watch out for. Okay. So let me share this on my screen. I'll pull up this tweet that I saw come out on Twitter. So 10 things I learned about how Yuga operates on their deck. Again, I hope I'm saying this right. This is the company that basically developed Bored Ape Yacht Club and has just since launched the Ape Coin. Okay, it's got a lot of people, mixed opinions about this, about the whole Bored Ape project in the first place, or like what happened with the Ape Coin drop. But one thing you have to understand is you got to take these people pretty seriously, who are, getting this space because they are actually trying to become a leader in metaverse itself. And I think could actually be a strong contender for this. They developed a huge, strong community around the Bored Ape project, okay? And so you've got that, which is a really grassroots community who could be very influential in what's happening with the metaverse. And this could actually write the playbook for what a decentralized grassroots metaverse could look like because you have all these people that are saying like, hey, we got sort of the Facebook version of the metaverse, and then we've got sort of, we don't think that's going to be decentralized. We have big players like Meta getting in the game, lots of skepticism around that, saying like, hey, we don't really want just some corporation to come in and build a metaverse that people are just not going to, like, it just doesn't actually have the ethos of crypto, like where you just control everything and then it's just Web 2.0 all over again. Okay, so what's your alternative look like? What does a Web 3.0 more decentralized metaverse look like? And that's exactly what I want to talk about right now. So some of these were from a leaked deck. Okay, so I don't know all the details about this, if all this is like totally legit or not. So we'll just take it at face value, okay? But let's look at some of the important points here. I'm gonna skip past some of the tweets here because there's try to keep the show family friendly, and there's some some language in there. So I'm going to skip down to the part about where, what they're trying to do in terms of building a Web 3.0 company and actually set the tone for the metaverse. So let me just pull that up here. So basically, they're talking about what it looks like to run a Web 3.0 company. And this is where the really big incentives come into place. One of the big things that makes Web 3.0 a big opportunity, and hence the metaverse a big opportunity, because there's so much financial upside to it to get in this space and actually build this. Now, building a big old metaverse community is hard. You need a lot of capital, a lot of people to pull that off in particular. But that's when the incentives come into place. And one of the cool things about, DeFi and all these other blockchain things, when you introduce automation into the equation, you can have all these protocols that make insane amounts of money, okay? Like insane amounts of money per number of people who are contributing to it. Like if you look at the cost per, employee, or the cost per team member, or like revenue per team member, like on a big old corporation versus that does like billions and billions and billions of dollars of revenue versus like a DeFi app that does billions and billions and billions of dollars of revenue. The revenue per like team member is absolutely insane compared to these other things. And that's how Web 3.0 changes the game, and hence the metaverse as well. So running a Web 3 company is very cash flow efficient. Without posting their direct financials here, running a successful Web3 company is very cash friendly, meaning you don't need you don't need to spend a lot to get a huge return. Cost of doing business was 8% on what they earned in 2021. Absolutely insane. So here's where the metaverse component comes into play. All right. So they want to create the metaverse. Right, the metaverse, not a siloed metaverse. And that's what I think a lot of people are concerned with about big players like Meta, Facebook getting the games, that they want to create some corporate siloed metaverse. But this version is decentralized, interoperable, has actual ownership. Any NFT character can play. Some more on this below. The money is real. So lots of people are asking, what is the metaverse going to look like? And I looked at this in a tweet thread from a previous stream, actually talking about, how... there's a lot of people who think that metaverse like right now just means that we're all just going to go experience the internet with 3D goggles on. But I don't think that's exactly where we're headed in the short term, okay? Lots of people are trying to figure out exactly what it's going to look like. But one set of use cases that is definitely sticking is gaming, NFTs, and the overlap of the two, and being able to have financial incentives around all that type of stuff, and virtual worlds, all right? Whether that's all in 3D goggles or if it's just in your browser, or something like that. All those types of things are overlapping and are actually sticking. And those are likely going to be the very easiest way to prove a metaverse that people are going to actually use, where you have NFT ownership, where you can take things in and out of these, games and have them in these virtual worlds, okay? Virtual worlds definitely be a part of it. Gaming, NFTs, financial incentives, actual user ownership. So any character can play in their metaverse, and that's actually a pretty cool thing. Like you can bring your own character to the table. So to allow any NFT or character to enter their game, so you guys building a software development kit that allows anyone to create their own from an existing NFT collection on a brand new collection, okay? So they're building games plus a marketplace all powered by ApeCoin. Okay, so there definitely could be some, incentive here to try to make ApeCoin look like a valuable asset for this particular metaverse. So this open decentralized metaverse will allow for artists to create in-game skins, clothing, which is a massive market. Yes, definitely. If you've seen that in video games, you see this a lot of time with like web design, right? Like you get themes or like that on the internet, right? Like you're gonna build a website, you can build a WordPress website. Think about all these secondary markets where you have like, I don't even use them anymore. I did when I was first starting to code, but like theme forest, or I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know what the hot ones are these days, but those are big. And this is a similar sort of thing with the metaverse. So basically, they're building on platform. So much like Apple's App Store or Google Play, so Yuga Labs is building the architecture to become the platform to build, create, earn, and play in the metaverse, all powered by ApeCoin. Okay, so definitely we're seeing a need for ApeCoin in here, and probably no surprise this is getting leaked around the time that ApeCoin is launching. So the first game built on ApeCoin by Yuga is Other Side, trailer below. Okay, so you can see that. Be over 10K codas. All right, you can see more details about that. See, also talking about they want to get a streetwear culture, a big part of their Bored Ape Yacht Club. All right. Basically got 46 employees strong, coming from major companies like Google, Oculus, Facebook, Twitter, Apple, Microsoft, Nike, and Amex. So these are big players that understand how to create big brands and function in this space. Okay. So I'm not gonna read every single part of the tweet. I'll put it in the I'll put it down in the live chat replay below. But what are some big takeaways from this? Okay, so we're seeing lots of big players jump into the metaverse. All right, again, Facebook is doing this. We're seeing Yuga coming onto the scene. I think Yuga has not been, taken very seriously by some people, like just because it's an NFT project, because Bored Apes, all that type of stuff. But I think that's going to change, okay? And definitely a player that you don't want to bet against in this space, okay? So definitely consider that. I think and so what's this going to do? We're talking about the financial upside for creating the metaverse and now this competition being in the space. And so what's that going to do? Well, those financial incentives plus that competition is basically going to create the need to create the metaverse that people actually want. And this is where we're going to start seeing clarity on what the metaverse actually looks like, okay? It's the essential components that are going to work right now are definitely, games where you can own things that can appreciate and value that you can take out of these games, virtual worlds, all that type of stuff is here now, and that's likely going to be what's going to be the very early metaverse use cases. Now, like I said at the top of this video, are we all just going to sit around with 3D goggles all day and just experience everything inside the metaverse? Well, I don't think that's going to happen in the short term. Anytime soon, okay? I don't think we're all just going to sit around with contact lenses that, have heads-up displays, all that type of stuff. The technology is really just not there yet. And quite frankly, I don't think people really just want to do that all the time. But I do think that Metaverse has the potential to disrupt things that we do on a regular basis, that can actually impact things like remote work and can actually impact things like how normal people just connect and socialize. But it's less clear about what that's actually going to look like. But what is going to work now and where the big opportunity is, definitely in gaming, definitely in virtual worlds, definitely in NFTs, play to earn, all that type of stuff is converging very, very, very quickly. And there's a big upside to it. So, if you wanted to, get into this, if you're a developer trying to get in this space, I would definitely check out some of these opportunities to build, the skins that they're talking about. Looking at the software developer kits that are coming out of this. Okay, so anything where you could build something and actually contribute to a marketplace, that could be a big opportunity. Okay, so could you build character skins? Could you build anything for these marketplaces that people want to buy and that they need, and can you create something attractive? This could be an entire new opportunity. We've seen opportunities like this that are, relatively easy for, one person to do, like do an NFT drop. All right, there could be a similar type of opportunity here. Think about if you just gotten on, think about if you've been a designer and a developer, or even hired a designer and then coded out some basic WordPress themes, right? When those, marketplaces launched, you could have done insanely well, especially in the early days, especially being one of the people that seeded those marketplaces. And let's say you became the number one theme seller and there's hardly anybody else, you got almost no competition. And then you figured it out and front run that opportunity. And then that marketplace absolutely blows up. Think about what could happen here for a similar type of thing. So definitely some ideas. Let me know in the comment section below. What metaverse projects are you working on? What do you think? Is Yuga Labs going to be a major player in this space? You're going to correct my pronunciation of that? Again, this is a name that I read all the time, but I've never heard anyone authoritatively pronounce and say out loud, so I'm doing my best here. So let me know down in the comment section below. All right, so I want to pull up a couple of updates that have happened in the space since yesterday. So I definitely want to look at a couple of thoughts on where I think the entire crypto space is headed right now. Okay, so pull up a couple tweets here, because there's lots of people who are, kind of checking out the crypto markets and thinking hey, what's going on here? We've seen some, confidence in the marketplace. I'm going to pull up some thoughts on that. But first, we can definitely take a quick peek look at a lot of people talking about ApeCoin from, the Bored Ape launch. Of course, we saw the Bored Ape floor kind of jump and then dump. People were worried about that. And, of course, saw initial pump on ApeCoin, seen a recovery, but it's also starting to gain a little bit of little bit of traction here. So I'm keeping my eye on ApeCoin. Of course, not financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do. All right, so let's pull up this tweet here. Sorry, I had this on my Twitter. All right, so I want to look at this update from Raoul Paul over at Real Vision, talking about a quick throw on the ETH price and where I think it, what the potential outlook could look like in the short term. Okay, so ETH is approaching a neckline of the inverted head and shoulders pattern, so it still needs confirming. Again, I'm not a big technical analysis aficionado by any stretch of the imagination, but I can spot the patterns that we're talking about here. Basically, this trend line that we've seen in a downtrend, we're gonna have a moment of truth soon. Is that downtrend going to be broken? So basically, the daily DeMark is showing 13 out of 9. Sorry, so 13 and 9 tomorrow. So breakout possibly fails on first attempt, which is pretty typical of this pattern. Usually a trend line, sharp pullback into middle of a wedge and then upside break. So what he's saying is you could see some rejection on this. If that's the case, you could see kind of a rejection to the middle of the pattern, but eventually breaking out of it. So basically the probability of the head and shoulders is valid. Is basically increase here. Okay. And the ETH to BTC ratio is looking, pretty good for the similar type of thing. Basically, this is the ratio of the Ethereum price to the Bitcoin price, and definitely worth watching over the next week or so. Let's see how it plays out. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on this. Again, I think we are seeing some confidence kind of return back into the crypto space because of what's happening across all markets. Again, everything that was happening since the beginning of this year, I think the biggest factors at play have definitely been what's going on with the Fed's tightening of the monetary policy in the side of the United States, okay? And then also the sort of fears about what's been happening on the global scene with the conflict happening in Europe. Again, we want to be very sensitive to everything that's going on there. I know people on the ground personally who are affected by this situation, but yeah, definitely another big factor at play. But because of that, I've always said, I don't think that crypto is going to basically just turn around and rocket off to the moon unless we know what's going to happen with the stock market because it's affected everything. But we are starting to see some confidence kind of come back here and at least breaking out of this, downtrend across, many equities markets. So hopefully that, kind of confidence will hold strong with crypto as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But I've always been kind of cautiously bullish throughout this process, throughout this correction. I didn't think anything that's happened has been a major, thesis invalidator or anything like that. I think it's been sort of a delay of schedule about where we're headed with the entire space. So time will tell, but that's my take. And another interesting point on with that line of thinking that I saw, we got a lot of people who are sitting around waiting for sort of the final capitulation. I've been seeing this talk for months now. It's like, hey, stuff's looking bearish, but it's really about to get worse. Like, just wait, bro. Just wait. We're about to dump to zero. And, I've seen that talk all over the place, but sort of a counterpoint to that, which what I saw pop up yesterday, which I think was a pretty good take, was many speculators waiting for a capitulation are unaware that markets have already seen multiple capitulations in the past few months. So look at the charts on January 24th, February 24th. That's how a capitulation looks. So that is a counterpoint. So again, I don't necessarily know, we could see another dump after this, okay? Nobody truly knows in the grand scheme of things, but you have to think about things in terms of probability. And what's the likelihood, I think that we're going to see something like that has decreased based upon recent sort of factors and sort of the strength and the confidence that we're seeing in the marketplace. I'm not saying it can happen, but everybody who's just been completely bearish and saying hey man, just wait, or we got to get that final capitulation wick. You got all these people who are waiting to buy it up. May not happen. May not happen. Let me know what you're thinking in the comment section below. Are you waiting for another nasty dip? Or is the worst behind us? Somebody says crypto always dumps. Yep, it always dumps. Question is, how low is it dump? Somebody says, yesterday you talked about ETH 2.0, how staking will produce a passive income 5%, probably 10%. Can you elaborate on that a bit more? So we don't exactly know what the actual return is going to be, but there are two factors at play. So one, and I think the reason I talked about it yesterday is I think it's a big factor why I think you're starting to see some outperformance in ETH. I think people are kind of waking up to the reality of what ETH is actually going to ship this year, which is the merge for ETH 2.0 and what that's going to do to ETH, the asset itself. An asset that has not corrected by an insane amount. All right. So basically, we've seen the ETH price correct just like everything else. I mean, Bitcoin was down. I don't know the exact percentages, but basically, ETH did not experience like a 70 to 90% drawdown like some of its competitors, okay? And I think that's a huge selling point for the strength of the asset and the network long term, which a lot of people have known, but sometimes you have to go through that in order to really understand it, okay? And so like big money who's sitting on the outside is definitely paying attention to that type of thing, that resilience. But you add on top of that the ability to earn staking rewards and yield from ETH itself. So what happens if you have an asset that never drops more than like 40% on corrections? I'm saying for the future, all right, for the future. And is constantly earning like a between a 5 and 10% interest yield. Like that's an attractive asset to hold for the long term. Like especially ones that can earn yield where you could hold a large principal that you never sell and you could borrow against, right? Or just like sell off the staking rewards. That's insanely attractive to big money, okay? And big money can move the needle on crypto prices a lot faster than individual retail investors like you or me. And so these are the types of things that we're seeing. I mean, I forgot, I saw the news update the other day. I think it's, I don't want to misquote it, but I think it's Dalio's group is like, getting in too. So, it's pretty big. So somebody asked like, why is that yield going to be higher? Well, part of it's going to be from the fees paid to the network. So you've got the ether that gets created by the blockchain itself. This is the block reward or the block subsidy. So whenever we move to proof of stake, we're going to replace the miners with stakers or validators, I should say. They stake their ETH to the network to help confirm transactions on the network, and they get paid two ways. One way is by new ether created by the blockchain, all right, and that yield is going to be probably a little bit below 5%. Okay, that's if I had to guess. It changes based on how many people participate. But then you add on the fees paid to the network, and assuming that the network stays the same or increases, which I think both, like it's at least going to stay the same, and I expect it to increase, then those fees are going to be added on top of that. So that's how you get staking rewards in excess of the advertised numbers of like 3 to 5%. Like it's probably going to be between 5 and 10% would be my guess. Could be even higher, all right? Especially based on times of peak network activity. It's never going to be a constant number. It's never going to be like this, you're always going to get this percentage on your ETH, so now it's going to get averaged over an amount of time, and there's lots of variables in play. But those are definitely factors that people are going to be watching out for. Okay. Somebody says they're waiting for that nasty dip. It might happen. I think it's less and less likely now, though. All right, so let's look at a couple other things here. Somebody says they think it's up only from here. Of course, there'll be another dump, even in an uptrend. So I guess I'm interpreting this commenter by saying that the worst is behind us. Could be. We'll have to wait and see. But I am noticing a significant sentiment change. Let's actually just check on the Fear and Greed Index. So right now, we're still firmly in the fear territory. But last week, we were in extreme fear. The month before that, we were in extreme fear. And I know what that feels like because I can sense it. I can see what happens, to the metrics on YouTube. I can see what happens to the metrics on everywhere. Like people are just like checked out and done and like don't want to look at and pay attention to crypto. But that's starting to change. And so I think the metrics and the social sentiment is a pretty good reflection of that. So yesterday I got this message that I want to pull up from somebody who I mentioned this in a previous live stream, they followed up with a pretty big value, email here that I wanted to share some points with. So basically, this person contacted me and was saying like, hey, came across your channel, like you started using it to get into blockchain, went through the trainings, all that type of stuff. And I talked about how they used that knowledge to actually learn land a business development position. Okay. And, how they basically went down the coding track and how that, basically really supercharged their results to actually get a non-coder job, so a business development job, and how that technical knowledge really helped them stand out, okay? And because I see that a lot, people saying like, hey, I'm thinking about checking out this blockchain space. I'm not sure I want to be a developer. Well, I've helped lots of people get blockchain jobs who are not developers, but basically they started out going down the development track, and that gave them a firsthand, knowledge of how the space actually works from the inside out, and how that gives them a massive edge. Because there really is nothing like understanding it from the inside out. You don't need the same depth of knowledge as somebody who goes on to be like a senior level programmer, but like just getting your hands there with the technology is a massive benefit. So this person actually responded with some, tips here, basically like, tip number 1 was learn Solidity. All right. So no matter what type of job you're looking for, Web3, learn Solidity. This is this person's actual words. So understanding Solidity from watching Dapp University and following tutorials helped understand Ethereum at a fundamental level. This is extremely important because a lot of people want to work in crypto right now. The problem is most of the applicants are not deeply informed on this space. I've definitely experienced this. Lots of people want to get into crypto, do not understand crypto. That's what this channel is here for, by the way. Basically, Solidity would help you separate yourself from everybody else. It's a skill set that takes time and dedication to learn. Therefore, this will demonstrate competence, ability to learn, and intelligence. That's actually pretty solid advice. This shows meta skills that you likely need for other jobs in crypto. So displaying my knowledge of Solidity to interviewers automatically proved that I had the drive to be an expert in Web3. I have learned by going through the interview process multiple times that non-technical employees like businessmen, more often than not, do have much practical knowledge of Solidity. Interesting. They come from other industries and specialized fields. So as a result, having a team member that can explain practical capabilities and working as a bridge between developers and business people is extremely valuable. So he was basically learning for about a year. He started coding in the first pandemic, started with some JavaScript with the intention of learning Solidity down the line. I've been coding for a total of 1 year, 6 months. I focused on JavaScript at the beginning, then moved to Solidity, and that was his end goal. So he's got lots of other pieces of advice here. Maybe I'll follow up some of that in a later stream. But I thought that was a powerful, testimonial from somebody who jumped in and got their hands dirty, and how that coding knowledge really supercharged the results and set them apart from other people who weren't exactly, maybe didn't want to become developers as their primary job, but, that's how, just learning the basics of the programming languages really set them apart. I mean, we've seen this, I did a video last year, kind of in the early days when, Mark Cuban was getting into the space, talking about how he, that's one of the ways that he learns the technology from the inside out that he really wants to heavily invest in, like artificial intelligence, blockchain. He was learning Solidity development, okay? So he wants to see how everything works from the inside out. And that's actually good for people who are trying to make good calls in this space too, because it can give you discernment on what's BS and what's not. You can actually learn how projects work. You can see who's full of it and who is actually building real things in Web 3.0. If you're trying to interact with projects on chain, you're going to have a much deeper understanding of how that works. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to a website and connected your MetaMask and it's I hope when I click this button, it's not going to drain all my tokens out of my wallet. Well, if you really understood Solidity and could look at contracts, you'd be able to understand that a lot better. You'd have a huge edge. And that's exactly what we help you do on this channel. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely smash the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. You're going to find out about this live stream when we do it again tomorrow. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. And if you want to go on this path that I'm talking about, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage, and I will show you exactly where to go here. I'll put up my screen so you can see it. You can find the new courses that we're putting out there totally for free. All right, we're putting out about one per week right now. can see those. I'll show you exactly where those are. Right here, free blockchain development courses. We just added a new one on. What is it? Ethers.js. Okay, you can't see it up here. I'm going to add it to the playlist, but we just added one. Ethers.js. Got an NFT tutorial, Metaverse tutorial. Got some amazing stuff coming down the pike. Definitely check those out. And if you like those, you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you'll take a master shortcut entirely, actually become a blockchain master step-by-step from start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. Help people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching.